there. Maseches Kiddushin, Daf Zayin Amud Aleph. We are in our Amud Yomi Shiur. Amud Yomi Shiur, another battle in the war, Swords of Iron. Omar Rov, the Shiur is Le'ilo Nishmas, Ovi Moira Menachem Ben Akiva, Rus Bas Shalom Sol Bas Moshe, Heni Reisha Bas Elchon Anitzchok, Refuas Esther Fur Bas Shoshana Malka. The first wide line. Welcome, 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 everybody here in Avos Shalom, and welcome to those who watch us on Zoom, Jeff and Daniel, and thank you to those who join us from anytime and our YouTube channel. Omar Rove, Iskachi Lelechetzi Mekudeshes. We're talking here about half Kiddushins. Says Rove, Iskachi Lelechetzi Mekudeshes. If a man tells a woman, be mekadesh to half of me, aret mekadeshes to half of me, then she's mekadeshes. She's mekadeshes. We're not talking here about the top part of the body or the lower part, because we're not talking here about cutting the person physically. It means commitment. What's kiddushin? Ishus means that she's special to him and he's her husband. So now his kachel chetzi mekadeshes. His kachel chetzi works. Why? Because it means that he's leaving himself the right to marry more women. Only half of me is mekadesh you, right? Which means I, as a man, I'm not fully committed. I reserve the right to marry other women. What's the Chiddush? Before Rabbeinu Gershom, there was anyhow the done deal. Says the Ritva that in some places, such as in our Medina, says the Ritva speaking in medieval Spain, he says that it's not accepted to marry more than one wife. You know, it's called bigamy. Yeah, right. Bigamy. That bigamy is more than one wife. What's monogamy? The same. One wife, too much. Okay, so anyway, so then so bekitzer, bigamy is allowed maker din in halacha. Says the Ritva, in a place where it's not normal, not accepted, then really it's if there's a condition under the chuppah, I will not marry anybody else. It's self-explanatory. It's normal. But if the husband says, the chosen says, "Iskachi lelechetzi," then he says, although the norm may be different, still I'm reserving the right to marry another girl, and that's okay. However, chetziach mekudeshes li eina mekudeshes. If he says half of you is mekudesh to me, then she's not mekudeshes. If he says you're only half committed to me, as we're going to see what that means later, she's not mekudeshes. I already explained to you things about commitment, but in the Havamina, the Gemara understands it differently. Amal Abai leRove. Abai is asking Rove. Rove is the one who just made the statement. So again, Rove basically made something very, very non-egalitarian over here. If the man says you mekudesh to half of me, it's okay. If he says only half of you, woman, mekudesh to me, then she's not mekudeshes. No half, nothing happened. Why is that? Before we start talking about commitment, let Abaye talk. Abaye asks Rove, why is it if he told the woman half of you is mekudesh to me, that it doesn't work and she's not mekudeshes at all? She's zero mekudeshes. You know why that is? Because Isha Omar Rachmana v'lo chatzi Isha. It says in the Torah, Kikach Ish Isha. If a man takes a woman, and not half a woman, the Torah only talks about one whole woman, not half a woman. Hachinami. If so, hey, same thing should apply the other way. Ish Omar Rachmana v'lo chatzi Ish. It says Kikach Ish Isha. Yeah, we're in the fourth wide line. Yeah, Rachmana v'lo chatzi Ish. In other words, the Torah also says Kikach Ish Isha. If you believe the Torah talks about whole people and not fractions of people, it works both ways. Ki yikach ish, isha, a man and a woman. It's either half or whole. What's going on here? Omar Lei, Rava is responding now to Abai, explaining his idea. What's Hachi Ashta? No. What? Is that the same? Hachi Ashta, breaking your comparisons, Hachi Ashta. What is it? Now then. Hachi Ashta, now then. Hachi Ashta, is that the same? Hossam over there, a woman is not suitable for two men. Why? The whole concept of Kiddushin, as we learned in the Toisus in Beis Amud Beis in the top of the page, the idea of Kiddushin is that a woman is designated, dedicated, her issues, her loyalty, her womanhood is only miyuchat to one man. That's what Kiddushin is. So you can't have Kiddushin to two men. It's a steer minei obey. It's like saying black and white at the same time. Yeah, it's like saying a nice guy from Hamas. Like there's no, yeah, it's an oxymoron. It's tirminei. I hope YouTube allows me to stay online. Yeah, well, Lamaisa, right? That's it can't be mekudesh to two men because by definition, yeah, if he's leaving room for her to marry more than one man, there is no such thing. Marriage means one man by definition. Can't make it neither as a condition, not half, not a whole. Ela gavra miluchaz lebeitrei. Oh, but a man can't a man be suitable as a husband to two women? The hachika omer lo, and this is what the man tells her, as I told you before. What the man is trying to tell is not making jokes when he says half of me is yours. He means to say, yes, I am my half of mine is a husband for you, meaning that hare at mekudeshes lechetzi, which means that since a man can be married to more than one wife, make your din before Chem Benu Gershom. And by the way, Timoni, Morocco, and Sfardim didn't accept it. Yeah, only nowadays because that's the law of the Medina. But conceptually, if you're Yemenite or Sfardim, make your din. You live in Tunisia, in wherever, you can marry two women. Yeah, as long as she agrees. It's machlokas. If you can have up to 4 women and still be mekayim oina very nicely. So lemaisa, you can have more than one wife if that man says haret mekudeshes le chetzi is reserving the rights to marry more than one wife in future. That's all. So lemaisa, the woman. Let's focus now on the woman. If he says to the woman, half of you is mekudesh to me, that cannot be because kiddushin is what? Listen to my words. What it's called in English, all or nothing. In other words, Kiddushin means your entire womanhood, Ishus is Mekudesh to me. Kiddushin is Loshan Hekdesh, designated to me. And if only half, half means nothing. There is no half Kiddushin. Therefore, where do we go down to? 0. Yeah, you know about the half full cup and the empty half? Etc. Now you have to go completely empty because there is no half Kiddushin. Wait a second. You said all or nothing? Maybe we should go for the all and not for the nothing. Marzuta, the son of Mari, is now asking Ravina the following question. Why don't we go for the other option? Kiddushi bekula. Why don't we say that if she's half mekudeshes, the Kiddushin should now spread their entire entity? Imagine yourself Kiddushin filling half the cup of the woman, so to speak. Let's say that the Kiddushin now should apply to the entire woman. They should spread, and then it's true. There's no half kiddushin. Why do you go down to 0? Go to full. Go for the whole thing. And now say there is no half kiddushin, but he wants her to be his wife, and she wants and he wants. So let it spread and be the entire. Go over the entire woman. It should be completely mekudeshes. How do you know? How do you know that half all of a sudden becomes a whole and spreads over the entire entity? We'll prove it from what's the other halachot similar to kiddushin? Hekdesh. Look what it says about Hekdesh. Miloi Tanya, didn't we learn in the Brisa? A person is makdish the leg of his animal. Yes, the shepsel is a cow. The cow is worth how much? I don't know, 2,000 shekels. And the leg of the cow is worth 300 shekels out of the 2,000. And he said, I want the foot of that animal to be korban oilo. Now, so this animal is what? Partially kodesh, partially chulin. You can't bring it to Beis Hamikdash, but you can't eat it for supper either. It's half-half. It's also kind of crazy that the hekdesh only applies to part of the animal, to the foot, and not over the entire thing. Tehekula oilo. Oh, so there we see that it spreads all over the animal. Automatically, if the foot is oila, and you can't say only the foot will be brought as oila, Mimela, we don't say it's 0 oila. We say that the entire animal becomes oila. The entire animal becomes oila. Very nice. Why don't you say the same by a woman? Yeah, and we're going to see more in Tosfos why we say that. But Lamaisa, yeah, let it spread to be totally, wholesomely, yes, kodesh by a woman, just like by korban. Why do you go down to 0? You can't be halfway. Why do you go down to 0? Go up to 100%. The afilu continues the Gemara to speak about korbanos here. The afilu leman domar ein kula oila. Really, it's a machloikus. There is an opinion there in the Gemara. Yeah, in Bechoros, I think I actually saw it recently. Yeah, the Gemara says over there is an opinion that says that the entire animal is not oila. Only the foot is oila and the rest is not. So what do you do, by the way? So what you do is, I said, let's say the foot, the leg, whatever, is worth 300 and the rest 1,700. you sell the entire animal to somebody who has to bring a korban, and now you, the owner, he's going to bring it as a korban, and that's a story by itself there. You now have 300 shekels kodosh and 1,700 chulin. And now with this 300, buy a little mini korban, or maybe this kedushas domim, maybe you buy other things to Beis Hamikdash. You basically break a note of 200 shekels to many 50s, 450s. Here you broke the animal's kedusha by selling it, getting cash. 1,700 chulin, 300 is oilo. Okay, very nice. Even according to that man Omar that says that we stay half-half, hanimili, that is only true. It's only true if you're makdish an organ that's not a vital organ, such as a foot. It's very, very hard to live without a foot, chas v'sholem, for animals or people, but people do live without a foot. Yeah, may my second cousin be well, or amputated, yeah. But Lamaisa is livable. In such a case, maybe you can split the kedusha of the korban. Aval makdish dovel sheneshama tluya boy avia kula oilo. Everyone agrees. Both opinions over there in the other sugya. Everyone agrees that if you're makdish a vital organ, the heart, the brains, things like that, then automatically, if you're makdish the heart of the animal, then you can't say, well, the animal's heart is one thing, but the heartless part is different. There's no heart, the heartless people. Yeah, but you can't have, an animal without a heart. Yeah, and therefore, what the kedusha, we learn it from psukim over there, spreads over the entire behemoth. So too by a woman. A woman, her entity, it's not a vital organs. It's her issues. Her issues, her being a woman, being dedicated as an ish, is what? It's all part of her neshama, of her heart. And therefore, why don't you apply the same thing by a woman? You say that half doesn't work? Great. So let it spread to the entire woman. Tosis asks a question, and I wouldn't go into the whole thing, but Tosis says, and he's medakit from Rashi also, that by hekdesh there's a special posuk that tells me why it does spread. It's not so simple. I wouldn't know that you spread all over, right? The posuk tells me over there's a special posuk that tells me that if an animal is half kodesh, then you can't stay like that. It spreads and the kedusha just, extends all over the animal. How do you know the same applies by a woman? Is there a shova, a hekesh? Says Tosis, unbelievable. For the first time we see, says Tosis, because the man told the woman the word mekudeshes. Yeah, what is he going to say tonight? Harat mekudeshesli, and mekudeshes means that he wants the halachas of hekdesh, like hekdesh of Beis Hamikdash, to apply to the woman. So that's their shova. When a man says harat mekudeshesli, I want your kiddushin to me to be like hekdesh of an item to Beis Hamikdash, holy, 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 and that's why the same halachas apply. The says this is unbelievable. If he says harat muresesli, harat meyuedes, remember harat into all the other alternative loshanis, then it wouldn't apply. Then really would only be half and therefore zero. Wow, that's the. It's because the word mekudeshes, first time we see a difference. La halacha. Mekudeshes means the same halachas that hekdesh apply. Maoreses is the same thing because the concepts of hekdesh apply in general, but not every detail. But if it says mekudeshes, all the details of hekdesh apply, and therefore half becomes the whole. And the question is, why did Rava say otherwise? The question, let's just regroup here. Let's focus again, refocus. The question is very simple in Rava. We all agree with your Rava. Abaye and Mazutra and Avmali and Ravina, everyone agrees you are right, Rava. There is no half Kiddushin. A woman can't belong half to her husband and leave an option to the next guy, to the next door neighbor, or to the plumber. There's no such thing. However, okay, there is no half. Why don't you say that it should all spread to the entire woman? Why do you say go down to zero, let it spread? Because Mekudesh is like Hekdesh. And by Hekdesh, we saw it spreads to the whole thing. Why not? Answers the Gemara. A very, very big yesod in Kiddushin. Is there anybody who's asking your question? Okay. And answers the Gemara. Fourth line from the bottom of the page. Midomi, is it the same? A woman and a Hekdesh item are not the same. Hasam behema. Over there, it's an animal. An animal, last time I checked, doesn't have das. An animal may be very intelligent, yeah, but an animal doesn't know what's hekdesh. An animal, you're makdish half an animal, right? But the animal belongs to you. And then the Torah says, nobody's stopping you, nobody's stopping the hekdesh from spreading all over. Ocho, over here with a woman, das acheres. There is another das, another mind involved in the story. There's a machlokes rishonim, how much is the woman involved in the process of kiddushin? Is she like creating herself the matter of hefker? That's a famous ran in the Dom da Flam, and she's saying, I'm like hefker, and you can buy me from Hefker, but I'm mafkir? Or is she makne herself, which is more like Tosfos? In any event, for sure, a woman has very clear das over here. Who's the owner of the issues of the woman a second before the ring is on the finger? Who's the owner of the woman's issues? Her, of course. The woman. Sorry to stop you. Please mute people. Okay. The woman is the one who is okay. The Seder, sorry. The woman is the one who is the owner of her over issues. She's das acheres. When you told her what did she want? The half of her, she'd be mekudesh. That's all, right? That's all she's willing to. She's interested in the other half, won't be mekudesh. So how can he just spread by itself? She is stopping it midway because she's not masking to more than half. If she's masking to do another half later, it's also not going to work. That we'll see in Amud Beis. But the concept is the woman is the one who's like allowing her to you. She's saying, okay, I'm all mekudesh to you without saying anything. She's mafkir, mazmin, kumakne, whatever you want to say. She's the one who allows your kiddushin to spread all over her entity, her personality. But if you said half, she's only giving you half. The other half she didn't give you. Since she didn't give you half, she from her side is only willing to be makne or mafkir, only one half. And if so, and halves just don't work. There are no fractions in Kiddushin. Kiddushin is good for people and not so good in math. We don't know fractions. It's all or nothing. And in this case, it must be nothing. Because who's continuing the half to miraculously continue and just spread all over the place? Well, she doesn't, right? And even if she does later on, it's not going to work because half plus half in Kiddushin doesn't always work. And that will be discussed later in Amud Beis. Yes, a little bit of questions, tiny bit. There is a ritva, by the way, excuse me, before I continue. The ritva compares it to a person who owns a house. If I sell the house, if I live, somebody from the south, yeah, lives in the house of someone in Bet Shemesh, yeah, the guy from the south is a guest, right? He's a refugee. And then the refugee from the south is going to sell your house to another person. Yeah, even if the beginning you sort of didn't say anything, sooner or later you can obviously be moiche and say, no, I didn't agree to sell my house. So too is the woman. The woman is the owner of herself. Whatever she allows, she allows. Whatever you can be makdish her entire being without her agreeing, and she only agreed to half. There's questions here in the Achronim, but I didn't really understand questions, so we'll continue. Ha loidamia elaleho. Three lines from bottom of the page. Kiddushin Zayin Amud Aleph. Ha loidamia elaleho, which means if you want to compare the case of the woman to the case of an animal being mukdash to Beis Hamikdash, ha loidami. If you want to compare it, you should compare it to the following case. Laho, to the following case. Let's see now a case of Kiddushin where there is a das acheres that stops and stands in the way of the hekdesh and stops it midway. Well, the behema has no das, right? So who has a das? Another person. Listen to this. Behema shel shnei shutfin. Ay. Reuben and Simeon are two partners in Bessie the cow. And now she belongs to both of them, 50-50. Then it can even be physical. One of the partners is all excited, enthusiastic, because Beis Hamikdash was just built and came from Shamayim, and Gaza is destroyed, v'chulei. And what? And this Reuven, he was makdish, he consecrated what? His half. He owns a half. He was makdish it. Shimon is a bit more of the, mundane type. He's not so excited. He was a makdish to Beis Hamikdash, so his half remains chulin. Okay, and then his dream comes true. Reuven wants the whole behemoth to be. Can you bring this behemoth to Beis Hamikdash? No, because it's half chulin, right? Okay, they could have sold it and get the money, half kodesh, half this, but that's not what happened. There's a happy end here. The chaza velok chovikdisha. Finally, Reuven bought him out. Who? Shimon. Now the other half, they used to be Reuben's, is now Shimon's. Is makdish the other half. Mazel tov. So then, what did we say here? Do we say that at the beginning there is the half of Reuven is kodesh and it automatically spreads to Shimon's part? Mapitom. Shimon is the das acheres. Shimon says, stop right there. There's a border. Shimon says there's an invisible border between you and me. I'm all for hekdesh. I'm not so hot on being makdish my half of the animal. I'm sorry. I have other mitzvahs to do. And in that case, the animal at the beginning was half Kodesh, half Chulin. The Kiddush is so just like by woman, a woman goes for half, not for the whole thing. What about if the woman later on says, yes, I'll go for the whole story? Not so simple. What did I just tell you now? What happens now if Reuven, as we said, back to the animal, bought out Shimon, right? Now Reuven was makdish the second half. So now the entire animal is Kodesh. So everything is perfect, right? Can he now bring it to Beis HaMikdash? Well, two halves are a whole. Wouldn't you guys agree with me that 0.5, the half plus half is equal? Is one? Actually not. Kedosha, it's Kodesh. The Eina Kreva, you cannot bring it to Beis HaMikdash. Wow. Let's say the animal is worth how much did we say? 2,000 shekels? Take the 2,000 shekels, sell the animal to somebody who owes oilo, or make sure there's a mum, and then bipoida, turn the animal one way or another, the two ways to do it, into cash, and those 2,000 shekel cash give to Beis HaMikdash, and Beis HaMikdash will buy new LED and neon lights to the Beis HaMikdash Shlishi. Why can't you bring the animal to Beis HaMikdash? Why not? Now it's all one big happy animal, right? Half was Kodesh, the other one was Kodesh. The answer is no, and soon we're going to see not why, but I'll tell you already now the main reason. There's a concept called dechuyim. The animal, at the beginning of its hekdesh career, the beginning of the hekdesh route, it wasn't able to be brought to Beis HaMikdash. It was rejected from the Mizbeach. If you go to the Mizbeach very happily, Reuven and Shimon, and only half the animal is Kodesh, and the Kohen would tell them, is this animal Kodesh? Yeah, half is Kodesh. Rejected. Out. No, you can't bring an animal that's half Kodesh. Later, the whole animal is Kodesh. No second chances. There's a concept in Kodim called dichui, an animal that was at the beginning rejected from being brought to the Mizbeach is forever rejected, even if the rejection is over. Even if the problem was solved, once rejected, always rejected. 1 second, please. Give me a second. The oiso tmura. Now, if they would take this animal without the animal having any blemish and say, this animal's kedusha, now we want to copy and paste it, we want to apply it to another animal, it's also to do that, deoraisa, but the tmura would apply, meaning the other animal would also be kodesh. The tmurasa kayoitzebo, the tmura, that's a chiddush. Let's say one animal, besi, is half-half, it's kodesh, but it's like two fragmented fractions, yeah? It's not really whole one thing, yeah? That's the animal, you can't bring it to Beis HaMikdash. You took Bessie and you said, the kedusha of Bessie now applies to Lucy. Lucy's whole hekdesh in one go. But because of Lucy's hekdesh came because of Bessie, just like Bessie can only be brought in the form of money to buy fresh paint and electricity Beis HaMikdash, so too is the second one. Because the whole kedusha started with the left foot. The whole kedusha started without being able to be kedushas guf, but kedushas domim. You know that there are two types of kedusha always in Beis HaMikdash. Kedushas guf, an animal that's whose body is going to be brought to Beis HaMikdash to the Mizbeach, and kedushas domim is money for Beis HaMikdash, money for the running water, electricity, and everything else Beis HaMikdash needs. Shma mino, okay. From here we hear three things, but I want to hear your question. Yes? Shma mino, from this last statement we just learned, we can derive from here Tlas Shma Mina. We can hear from here three different things. First, number one, Balechaim Nidchim, which means there is a machloekes in Yuma. Yeah, what happens? You know what happens in Yuma in Beis HaMikdash? You bring two seirim, two goats that are exactly identically the same, right? One goes to Hashem, one goes to the Azazel. What happens if one of them dies? Then the other one stays alone, right? Yeah, that's called Nidche. He was rejected from being brought as a mizbech, as a korban, because his partner died, and you always have to have partners. So then there's all machlokes about that. Machlokes is as follows: there is an opinion over there that says that a live animal doesn't have the problem of dichui. What's dichui? Animal that was, as you were saying, animal that was suitable to be brought to Beis HaMikdash, right, as a korban, and then it was rejected. That's called rejected. Some people say that's only true by an animal that was shechted. In other words, let's say one animal was shechted, right? Then the other one, let's say the Sir Lazazel, is rejected forever. Because once there's shchita, yeah, let's say there was a situation of the animal was already nishchat, and then something happened to the animal that it cannot be brought, then we say once, even let's say the problem was now resolved, let's say they found another pair, in the case of Yuma, the shechted one, then they brought quickly another pair. We solved the problem. No, no, no. Once it's shechted, it's too late to solve any problems. It was rejected post shchita, that's too late. But as long as the animal is alive, that's a machloikis. When an animal is still alive and was rejected, some people say it's never called rejected because every animal started its life, as a non-kodesh. It's not called rejection. It's still alive. As long as the animal is alive, you can always fix the problems. For example, over and here, what do we see? No, we see the animal was alive. You were mekadesh one half and was what we call rejected because the other half was not suitable. Then we fix the problem. All is good. Oh, I bought out Shimon. Now it's all mine. I'm Reuven. It's all kodesh. Say no, too late. Even though the animal is still alive and kicking and it wasn't brought to base of mekadesh, it's still called rejected, even though it's alive. That's one thing we learn from here. The shmamino, and this is your point, Zvi. Dochui mi kore havi dochui. Oh, what's rejected? And that's a sugya in Sukkah. Yeah. Rejected by definition means, I'll tell you a secret. I was never rejected from the math department in Harvard University. They never rejected my application form. Why? I never applied. I don't know why. Not sure why, but never applied to Harvard math thing. I don't know. I should have, right? I didn't. Yeah. So the rejected means you tried and you were rejected. Over here, as you were saying, one claim, and some people do claim, some Tanoim claim, that's not called rejection. This animal right from the start was bad, right? The animal right from the start wasn't yet suitable for korban. 50% yes, 50% no is not yet okay. Came the 50%, maybe then it's not called dochui. Every animal starts its life again for the first 7 days as chulin, except for bchor. And then the hekdesh comes, right? That's how it works. So maybe that's not called rejection. Comes the Gemara and says, dochu mikara havi dochu. It's all very nice svara. We follow the opinion that says no. Even an animal that had an issue right from the start, yes, we do call that dochui. We call that, there are reasons there. In Sukkah, even an animal that started with the left foot, you may not call it dochui in modern language, but halach have used that as dochui. If the hekdesh right from the start started the left foot and said, what? I can't bring the animal to Beis HaMikdash because the hekdesh started in halfway, which is only domim. It stays domim and you can't bring it to Beis HaMikdash, it's only money. That's exactly the chiddush over here. The shma mina yesh dichui bedomim. And also we see a third thing. A dichui, some people say dichui is only to what? To Beis HaMikdash, right? The Beis HaMikdash, if the animal was supposed to be brought to the korban, to the mizbeach, and was rejected, there was an issue. Let's say the pair of the azazel died, let's say, then we say it's rejected. But something that's lechatchila only meant to be brought for domim, meaning there is no kedusha in the body, just kedusha with the money, monetary kedusha, because when the person was makdish his half, and the partner said, no, I'm not makdish mine, then Reuven knew right away that the only thing he can do is sell the animal and get 1,000 cash to paint the Beis HaMikdash, right? So if some people say there's no dichui there's no dichui. You escalate from domim to kedushas aguf. No, we say no. Even though the original kedushas domim, we still say that it's called rejection. So we're machmir in 3 different machloikesim, which we find in different places in Shas, in Yuma, in Sukkah, in other places. We see no. All these things are considered as dichui, and you can't bring the animal, you can only bring the domim. That's exactly what you're asking. That's the chiddush over here. Now back to Kiddushin. Quick questions, and then back to, let's just summarize. Let's summarize, and then I hear a question. Again, a woman as opposed to an animal, chetziach mekudeshesli ain't working. It's not going to work because there is no have Kiddushin. What's the chiddush? We don't say it's going to spread all over the place. Why? Spreading doesn't work. Your makdish half a woman is not Kiddushin. And even if he says to her later, okay, another half will follow along, it's too late, as we're going to see soon, and as you can already start deriving from the hekdesh business. By an animal, it's different. By an animal, we say that if there's no partner that stops you, it's just you and your animal, makdish half, there's a pasuk that tells you, that half will, the cotton godol here, it spreads all over the animal. By a woman, there's her. She's only masking to half, and therefore she's not mekudeshes at all. If she wants to stay half mekudeshes, she'll be 0 mekudeshes. That's all. Quick and easy. Yes. Now, boy Rove, Rutgers. You've heard of Rutgers University? Yeah, I did. Weiter. Boy Rove. Rav is asking a question. Chetziach bechatzi pruta, the chetziach bechatzi pruta. Oh, a man told the woman like this: I want half of you to be mekudesh to me for half a pruta, and I want right away. He said, yeah, right away after that, he says, your other half should be kodesh to me, should be mekudesh to me in half a pruta. Mahu. How do you view that? Oh, why is it a question? Explains the Gemara. Kevan the Omer lo chatzi pruta paska. Freeze right there. Freeze right there. If the man told her half of you is mekudesh for half a pruta, that is zero. That's already zero. Half means zero. And in that moment, he and she both think we're going to go half-half. Yeah, she'll be half mekudesh. That's zero. And now you can't add a half to a zero. You can. Then you'll have another zero because halves are just zeros. And if you look at each one by itself, that's zero plus zero because half means zero in Kiddushin. Or Dilma, or maybe not. Don't freeze right there. He's just counting along. The guy just wants to make a very interesting shticky chuppah in Kinor David. And instead of saying, he says, Mikudesh in half a ring, and then in another half a ring. Why? I don't know. Lamaisi, he means to have one continuous thing. Don't freeze after the first statement, half a pruta. He's counting along. Maybe he doesn't have much money. He says, take half a pruta, like the kid by the cashier in the supermarket, 10 agrot, another 10 agrot, like in the slot machine, you can go crazy with the mazgan or the coke in the airport, right? Another 10 cents, you can go nuts. But Lamaisa, you go one by one, but it's all one continuous thing. Continuously, even I know the half plus half is one. And if you it is one whole thing, and then she is Mekudeshes. Continues the Gemara, and if you want to tell me that half and half are a whole, and you don't view each one separately, then I'll ask you the following question. This is a flow chart Gemara, what I call, yeah? If going for option one, then there is, two or more options, v'chuli. If you go for that option that it is good Kiddushin, what happens if he says to her, half of you is nikne with one pruta, and another half of you in an entire pruta, mahu? That is in a way worse. He's using whole prutas, makes it worse. Why? Mahu. Let's stop right here. Everybody knows that half a pruta is not kiddushin. So that's a better way of that's what we can understand when you told her half a pruta. You don't freeze right there in the previous case, because he knows only half doesn't get you anywhere. But if he said half of you is mekudesh with the whole pruta, it's more dangerous because maybe he is focusing freezing on that one half. Because it says one pruta, 1, 2, 3, another pruta, boom, boom, boom. It's a Pascal Emil say each statement is dealt with separately, and that's bad news. If there's a whole pruta, only half a woman is no woman. Or Dilma, or maybe called as long as the same day, even though, in other words, he said right away the same time, pruta, and then another, and afterwards it says pruta 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later. As long as it's the same day, we connect them all as one continuity, as one thing, and he's mekadesh the and the two prutas. He's a generous guy. Maybe he can still continue it as one big flow. Intim tziloimar, flow chart. If you want to take one option of kol b'yoyim emoyne v'olechu, if you want to tell me it is kiddushin, and by the way, in kiddushin we're always concerned maybe it's kiddushin, we're machmir. If you want to be machmir and say that yes, that as long as it's the same day, pruta, 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 it's all one continuous thing, and he wasn't really relating to one half. If so, chetzich bepruta hayoim, the chetzich bepruta lemocho mau. All the Rishonim say, Tosas Ritva and others, he stood there 9 o'clock in the evening Tuesday night, and he told her one pruta today, one pruta tomorrow. Not that he gave her one pruta today, goodbye, and one pruta tomorrow, each one half. That's for sure not going to work. If he says half of you is mekudesh today, and then half of you mekudesh tomorrow, that's not going to work if it really happened tomorrow. But if in the same shot, the same sentence, it says you are half of you mekudesh today, pruta, and half tomorrow, so he connected today and tomorrow by his speech. So Lamais is doing one continuous thing. One prut I'm giving you now, one prut I'll give you tomorrow, one for one half, one for the other half. Do we say, again, because he didn't mention today and tomorrow, that's too far apart, and again, there are two halves, it's dangerous, because every time he said half a woman, we don't like that word half a woman. So half a woman today and half a woman tomorrow, that's too far apart. Or maybe that's what he tells her, Kiddushin matchul ma'idna, migmar lo nigmeru ad lamachor. The Kiddushin start ha'idna. What's ha'idna? Today, and they won't finish until tomorrow. Again, maybe we still give him the grace of the benefit of the doubt. That really he means to say from today till tomorrow, you mekadesh in one flow, half of you today and half tomorrow. Now let's say shnei chetziech bepruto mau. Oh, what happens if he says the two halves of you are bepruta? Right away, I like both halves of you, the two halves of your personality. She's a schizophrenic, I don't know. Yeah, he says the two halves of you are mekudesh in one pruta. What would be the halacha? He says it in one shot. He's not relating to half, right? He says the two halves are mekudesh. Hooray, your two halves mekudesh to me, but that's Moshe V'Yisrael. He's relating to the two halves straight away, addressing them in the face together. So that's good. It's really one whole. Oy Dilma, listen to this strong line, Ein isha miskadesh lechatzoin klal. Or maybe a woman just is not miskadesh at all to chatzoin. The word chatzoin is treif. The word chatzoin in Kiddushin just doesn't work whichever way at all. Teiku. Even if he says two halves right away, so it's good, two halves are a whole. No, you have it sad to say that to say to a woman half mikudeshes is a stir minei obey, as my beautiful colleagues over here are saying. Teiku. I looked up in Shulchan Aruch. Teiku means what? We don't know what's halacha. What would you paskin? Let's say, you get a guy, not in Kinor David, somewhere else, and he was mekadesh the woman, chetzi ayom, chetzi tomorrow, chetzi this, chetzi that. It's teiku. It's a suffix. What do? Sofek mikudeshes. So she'd need a get l'chumra. Because we don't play with Eshes Ish, get l'chumra. Excuse me, no. Now my turn to lift my finger. Rabbi, I want to tell you something which I wanted to say yesterday. Yesterday I mentioned about Shalachmonas. Purim is coming up soon. Whatever. And that some people start screaming for Pesach now, so might as well be Purim. Yeah. In Purim, what I told you was right, but actually I was wrong because it's even more extended than what I told you. I told you, and that is the halacha at the end of Ilchas Purim, Ilchas Seuda. I think Simon Steve Base, I think, or Gimel about Shalachmonas. It says over there, a man should not give a single woman Shalachmonas because the Chash Sibloinos. Sibloinos is the gift given after Kiddushin. And Rechoshesh, why is he giving in such not Shalachmonas? Shalachmonas by nature is a gift of love, of appreciation, of Kiruv Halavavois. And therefore don't give it to a woman, not even mitzad tznias, but mitzad there's a chashash, maybe he was mekadesher, and these are the gifts that follow the Kiddushin called sibloinos, which we've learned about in Basra, I think it was. And therefore it's a chashash Kiddushin. We're so machmir. However, I was wrong. Because of that chumrah, we're machmir, we extend the chumrah even more, and it says any man should not give any woman, or any woman should not give any man. A woman to a man, what's the problem? A woman can be mekadesh to man, but still the Ramachmir to separate the genders, only men to men. You can do a family to family. Rav Eliashiv Shlomo Zalman say family Cohen to family Abutbul. Very nice. But from a man to a woman, or a woman to a man, it's just not mekadeshim. But they made total segregation. Shash that a man would give a single woman, not a married woman, and therefore there would be chash that this is kiddushin or post kiddushin. At kedei kach we're machmir. And then she may need a get because we don't know. Maybe there was something going on, and that's a chash. You have to understand the chumrah of kiddushin is two reasons. Reason number one, kiddushin, where there are three reasons: eshes ish. Secondly, mamzerim. Maybe she's mekudesh, and then she'll marry another guy to mamzerim. Thirdly, kiddushin is something very, very heavy duty, which we'll see in second parak. Depends on the guy's mind. If a man and a woman like each other, and he gives her a gift, and he knows about the concept of kiddushin, you don't know. Maybe in his mind somewhere, in the dark area of his consciousness, of his psyche, he really wants to marry her. And then he may be already kiddushin. So it's not so simple. Mashenken metanos levyonim is not a problem. Metanos levyonim is clearly charity, not a gift. Charity, men give women charity. It's clearly just a charitable thing. It's not coming from love of any sort. And therefore, then there's no chashash.
Cohen gave it to Grusha.
According to Grusha, he's Mekayim, by the way. I'm sorry to. Yes. It's also really works. And anyway, they made a general gzera. I hear what you're saying. I don't think brother and sister is a problem. It's what it is, obviously not, to a son to a mother. But Lamaisa, somebody to sister-in-law, the should be. I guess I made a general example, but maybe I'm wrong. Yes, I'm listening. I don't know who was first here. Ellen, the grandfather of the bride. Give him some cover, please. Yeah. Well, 1 minute.
She said yes.
I want to add something to what you said. You remind me what the Rishonim saying. Even if the woman later, let's say, says half of mekadesh and half a pruta, right? And then she says, and then he wants the other half, right? Why is that bad? And she says, yes, she's masking to both halves. I told you before, I'm going to tell you why not. Why? I told you why it's not going to work. Because if we view each half separately, especially if she said yes in the middle, then half as of itself is zero. 0 plus half is nothing, is again half, and the other half is also 0. That's a problem here. If he says chetzich mekadesh li bepruta, if we finish right there and we freeze the statement and we don't say it's continuous, we view each unit separately, you're mekadesh half a woman, and half a woman cannot join later. No. Actually, the rabbi tells them quickly, no, do the other half. No, too late. Because if you view that one half as an entity of itself, it's 0. You can't 0 plus half is not whole, right? And then she's not mekudeshes. Okay? Yes. Weiter. I love it. We will not start with mother-in-law jokes now. Okay. Bayrove, half a mother-in-law? Yeah, I don't know. Bayrove. Rav is asking a question. Bayrove. Now we all know that a father may accept Kiddushin for his daughter who's under 12 and a half, not even on her behalf. He is a balabais. He is a balabais, a father up until the age, as long as his daughter is younger than 12 and a half, he may receive Kiddushin even without asking her. He's in charge of her. It's not even, says Toisves, it's not called Baal Korcha. He is the Baal Korcha. He's the one deciding. He is the master. He's the boss. And therefore, that was in the good old days. And now he is accepting. Now, that's number one. What about a son who is 15, 16, 26, or 50, who cannot make it to the chasana tonight? No chas v'shalom, not yours. The chasana, the different place. The chassan can't make it to the chasana, and he's asking his father, "You please be my shliach, be my messenger. I appoint you a shliach to be mekadesh, a woman for me." Okay, so you can have two fathers. The father of the chassan, who was appointed by the chassan, who is a willing partner, who should be lechatchila above bar mitzvah, below bar mitzvah is complicated. Yeah, is a 16 years old chassan with a 12 years old kala. The father is representing the chassan, giving a pruta to the father of the bride, who's 12, and he's representing her. So that is actually not a chiddush even. We're just summarizing a case which can happen, from what we've been gathering so far. However, here comes the following question of Rove. Boy, Rove, the Heilige Rove, shtei b'noisecha lishnei bonai bepruta. I want two of your daughters to be mekudesh to two of my sons with one pruta. Das ist interessant. Now, so then what happens? Mahu. What do we say then? The father takes out pruta, the father of the chasanim, of the grooms, bridegrooms, gives it to the father of the kalois, of the two girls, one pruta. Does it or doesn't it work? What do you mean? What's the question? Do we follow the giver and the recipient, the as Tosfos says, we're going to see soon. This Tosfos I want to see inside if we have time. The recipient is one recipient. That's the father. The father can be a recipient for both his daughters. Forget about the chasanim now. We'll discuss them later. The kalas have one yad. His one yad. His one. It's called yad l'kiddushin. The father is not a shliach of theirs. No, the father is them. The father is the yad l'kiddushin of two girls. So even though it's two girls for one pruta, that's not a problem, because the one who is like the two girls is one guy, one body, one corporation called father of the brides, of the girls. And therefore that is good enough, even though there are two bodies. Oidil, or maybe, maybe not. Maybe you don't follow the recipient, you follow the tachlis. At the end of the day, behind the scenes are two girls. Yeah, there's Shprinza Bela and the Hindayachne. Shprinza Bela is one, Hindayachne is the other. And both of them, if you go by them, each one only no, they don't get it. Even the father gets it. The father gets the money. But at the end of the day, the girls who are actually going to live with the men are who? Are two girls. So maybe then you go by the girl, and then you only have half for each. The leka, you don't have that. Teku. That is a question. Do you go by the recipient or do you go by the actual calories? We will see this toises, beautiful toises, only when we get to where I want us to get, Bezos Hashem. Boy Rove, another question of Rove. That's again Teku. So in case you take your two little girls, remember it's a Sofi Kiddushin. Toises points one thing, in case we don't make it to Toises, they have to know who's mekudesh to who. You can't have a jungle over there. Yeah, right? Getzel is for Sprinta Bela, and the barrel is for Hinde Achne. Right? Otherwise, it's Kiddushin Shalonim Surelabia. You can't be mekadesh two sisters without knowing which one's which, because then you can't touch any one of them, because she may be either your sister or your wife's sister, which you're not allowed to be with. Machlokas Abba and Rove later. Boy Rove, another question. Boy Rav Pope. Pitcha uparoscho bepruta. Your daughter and your cow, I'm getting for one pruta. Right? Don't read this Gemara to the feminists. Yeah? Bitcha uparoscho bepruta. That's what he said. Ma, what do we say? Mi amrinan bitcha bechatzi pruta uparoscho bechatzi pruta, and that's not good. Your daughter for half a pruta, your cow for half a pruta, and it's not good. And by the way, the cow, you cannot acquire a cow for half a pruta. Must be, says the Ritva, there was Mashicha. Right? The half a pruta is like a down payment, but you don't buy cows for money. We all know that. The totality is not nikne with money. But maybe he means your daughter's kiddushin half pruta and the cow half a pruta as I don't know, some kind of payment, and must be he's also going to do Mashicha. And Lamaisa, does that work? Half? No. Because the daughter for half a pruta, there's no kiddushin. Or Dilma, or maybe bitcha bepruta uparoscha b'Mashicha teiku. Maybe, although he says bitcha paroscha bepruta, he meant to say your daughter with one pruta, and then it's kiddushin, and the para is in Mashicha, and you must say that there was Mashicha done, and when he says para bepruta, it was agav shitfa delishna. He was just mentioning the para, by the way, but obviously he meant that the pruta should be for the girl and the Mashicha for the cow, and then it is kiddushin. If he means half a pruta girl, half a pruta cow, that's not good. Half a pruta kiddushin, short circuit. But if he means pruta for the girl and Mashicha for the cow, then it's okay. Teiku. Ah, that's a different story. If he says your daughter and your karka for a pruta, now that's different. Why? A piece of land may be nikne with money. In the previous case, if the guy knows a little bit of halacha, he knows that a cow is not acquired for pruta. So why did he mention pruta with a cow? By the way, obviously, meant the pruta is for the girl. Everybody knows the cow is not for pruta. But if he says your daughter and your apartment for a pruta, that's a different story. Mao, there would be a different. There would be a bigger question. Since prutas apply to karka, he wants half for the girl and half for the piece of land, and that's not good. The girl for half a pruta ain't working. Or dilma bitcha bepruta the karka bechazoko. Maybe means to say your daughter for a full pruta, and the karka, I didn't mean the pruta. It was mentioned b'derech hagav, yeah, or maybe tam. I don't know why he said it. Obviously means b'chazoko, and he's going to do chazoko for the karka, and that's a teiku. Teiku. I want to see the toises about the two boys and the two girls. 1 second. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Yes. Shtei b'nosecha l'shnei bonai. Yes. Shtei b'nosecha l'shnei bonai toisfus. It's a third toisfus from the bottom of the page. Shtei b'nosecha l'shnei bonai. Oimeri, the Mairi. We're talking here. The case is here. Bebonus ktanos. These are bonus who are underage. They are below 12 or even 12 and a half. The kiddushin, the avninu. The kiddushin belong to the father. He's not their shliach. He is them. He is the mekadesh, but he's the one who receives the kiddushin. He gets the money. He buys with it ice cream. He gets the money, and he decides the whole thing. He's the owner of the kiddushin. The big doilos. If you want to talk about big girls, there are 21, 20, 19. The av mekabel kiddushin b'tor shlichus, and if the father receives their money, and they said, "Daddy, can you please be our shlich? Find us a nice chosen when you go to America, and and they'll give you money, you'll be our shliach." If that's the case, pshita de by pruta lokol achas, then of course you need a pruta to each one. Obviously. Why? The shliach loy odif memeshalchoi, right? The shliach is not better than the meshaleach, right? In other words, you see what Tessa says over here. If the father is officiating as a shliach, he is like a shliach for Rachel and for Leah. for two girls. Of course, you need two prutos. He can't be better than them. Then obviously you need two prutos. The only question is here that he's not a shliach. There are 11, 12 years old, yeah? And the father is not representing them. The father is, he is the body here that receives. He's the entity who receives the Kiddushin. And he's one guy with one pocket and one bank account. So maybe it's enough to have one pruta. Or maybe no, maybe go with the bodies. And he continues, oh, now the problem is as follows. Tesis does have an issue on the boys' side. The boys' side is very confusing. I avoided it all the time. Now I'm facing the wall. What was the story? Let's say we're talking about boys that are 15, 16. They're big boys. If they sent the father to be shliach, how can one pruta work for both boys? Can't be, right? The father is representing the boys. He's not them. They're independent. They could be foreigners to him. Reuven, the son, sent him, and Shimon, the son, sent him. So of course he needs to give two prutos, mitzad the choson. How do you have a tzad to say one pruta is good enough? Answers Tosfos and Chinam. We're forced to say the bosser noisen the komer lav davka. No. When we say maybe you follow the noisen and one pruta is enough, he doesn't mean to say that. The lashon of the Gemara is not exact. The noisen for sure is coming to represent his sons. His sons don't belong to him when they're big or small. No, small yes, but there's no kiddushin. His 15 years old son doesn't belong to him. If the ibasa noisen as linan, if you follow the giver, the son, the boys, have a baishte prutois, then for sure you need two prutois. Keilu habanim be'atzman mekadshin. It's as if the two boys are standing here. Shlucha shalodam k'moisa means when you sell your chometz, anything of shlichus, yeah, the shliach is like you yourself. It's mamish like you. The father is like Reuven and Shimon. Of course, he needs to give two prutois, and therefore says Tosis. Of course, mitzad the chasanim, you need two prutois. So what's the question? Only on the girl's side you have a question. This is now focusing on the girl's side. Do we follow mitzad the girls only the mekabel? The shema ein lochu shel ishikabel mekabel shve pruta. That's all. In other words, all we need to say, according as I told you all the time, the mekabel, the receiving side of the girls. Who's the receiving side of the girls? The father. He's not representing Sprinza and Hinda. He is them. He is the entity of the receiving. He's the one who gets. That one is enough. Or maybe say no. Maybe at the end of the day, there are two girls here who are going to live with the two boys. They are the kalas with the white dresses. They are the bodies who are being miskadish. So maybe you need two protos. That's a question. But mitzad the chasan mitzlav dafka. Headed mitzad the boys, for sure you need two protos, right? And that's what says Tosis. We're forced to say that it's not two chasanim, maybe it's one chasan. It's difficult, but that's what we have to say. Continues Tosis. One more point Tosis is making. You also must say that your mevarer, you clarify who is for who. Kigon Rochel leRuven, Belea leShimon. You have to know which boy to which girl. It's not going to be a whole one big suffix over here. Dimloiken, if you don't know who's marrying who, but the brother and sister, have a Kiddushin Shalonim Seulabia. As I told you, there's Mechlokes Ban Rov and Dafnun Aleph. And by the way, it's one of the 6 cases that Abai is right. Abai is Aloch Lakim, Kiddushin Shalonim Seulabia. If a man is mekadesh one of two sisters, he faces two twins, two sisters, and he says, I'm mekadesh one of you. He's a cool guy. I don't care which one. I like you both. I'm mekadesh one of you. That's all I want. He doesn't know which one. It doesn't work according to Abaye. Why? Because Lemaisa, I think Abaye when it says not, I'm not sure who says what. In any event, yeah, according to one opinion, it doesn't work. Why? Because let's say a man is mekadesh two women, one of two women, one is not related to the other. Yeah. Worst comes to worst, when he has relations later, it's either his wife, Mazel Tov, all very nice, one big happy family, or it's a foreign woman who's not his wife. It's really, really not nice to have relations outside marriage, but it's not an Isser chorus. Yeah, it's not as bad as what? If it's two sisters, she's either your wife, and 50% she's your wife's sister. Wife's sister, you can't touch, it's an Isser chorus, and you don't know which one. So if you can't consummate the marriage right from the start, it's not a mistake that happened 5 years later. They both have the same shaitel, the same thing. In the middle of the night, he gets confused. There are such cases in the Gemara. Right from the essence of the Kiddushin, he doesn't know who is a sister and who's an Isser chorus. So you mekadesh someone who's right away an Isser chorus. Therefore, it's not going to work. So therefore, in this case of the two brothers, two sisters, we have to clarify right from the start, Reuven for Rochel and Shimon for Prince of Bela. May you all have atzlacha barucha, shalom al Yisrael, Mashiach soon, and may all the hostages come back home very, very quickly. Thank you for your participation. Atzlacha barucha. Thank you to all our participants in Torah Anytime, our YouTube channel. Thank you.